Welcome back everyone. We're in the middle of September 2020 and the markets are in a very critical space right now. So I'm doing this quick update video just to get you guys back up to speed. Normally I would post this video just to our member section only, but I think things are really critical right now and basically on a knife's edge. So I'm releasing this video out to everyone. Let's have a look at the charts to see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is the Dow Jones over here, and what you can see is we're just in this range over here with the Dow. Hang on, let me actually zoom in a little bit so you guys get a better view of this. Things are either about to pop up or they're about to crash down. And it's going to go to an extreme one way or the other. One question I've been getting a lot from you guys is, do I think the lows are in, or are we going to go even lower and test like the March lows or even further down from that? And here's my thinking on this. If we kind of zoom out on this, what I want to do is draw like a couple trend lines for you guys. So if we have a look at this line that kind of goes down along there, see the market kind of goes up and then it crashes into that line, up, and then it falls into that line again. So that's one trend line to pay attention to. The other one is this one that kind of comes along over here. And again, we can see the market kind of using this line as a overhead resistance, so to speak. This one is like a bottom. And so the further out in time we go from this point here, which is really 2018, start of that year, things are going to extremes. Extreme highs, extreme lows, extreme highs, extreme lows. So keeping that trend in mind, if we kind of zoom forward, the markets are going to be doing one or two things. There's this Rahu Ketu transit. I think the markets most likely are going to be heading upwards, close to all-time highs. And after that point, it could well be kind of zigzagging up and down, but with an upward trajectory over there. The other scenario over here is that the markets don't respond to economic data. You know, shock and surprise, sometimes they do that. In fact, for most of this year, they've been doing that. I think it's possible that if the political situation in America gets out of control with this election, things could well be going down. And if they go down, I think it's possible they could even crash, probably even below where this chart is. I mean, we're looking close to about the 1700 mark or thereabouts, but things would have to really get out of control for that. So I think the downward trajectory with this is probably just for about another week or so. And if that happens, the worst case scenario really should be looking at about that point there, at about the 2600 mark. Again, there's a caveat with this. It's all about politics right now and not so much about the fundamental economy. The other thing to point out is that on Wednesday, I believe, the FOMC is coming out with their statements. Most likely they're going to keep interest rates at zero, and most likely there's going to be some money printing going on because both political parties can't seem to agree on how much money to print or where to give it or what to do with that. So it is possible that the markets go upwards because of that release of information. And that's actually one of my predictions. When Rahu transits into Taurus, which is around the 23rd or 22nd of September, that should push the markets upwards. And when Jupiter enters Capricorn, which is going to be in the end of November, we should be seeing the market heading to an upwards move here. So that's what I think is going to happen. Most likely in the short term, it's going to be going up, but keep in mind, the politics of the situation could be pushing things down. And if it really gets out of control, it will be to an extreme low. One of my other predictions though is, again, if we play out that scenario that the markets go up, by the end of 2021, when Jupiter is leaving Capricorn heading into Aquarius, that will leave Saturn in Capricorn all by itself. What that's going to do is create a crash that's going to make March look like a walk in the park. If we extend that all the way out, we could even be looking at something at about 15,800 with the Dow. Actually, let's just put it up at about that level just because it sort of syncs up with this area more roughly. That is on the cards here, I think. So what I'm basically saying is short term, markets will be going up. Medium to long term, they could be coming down. Now remember, nothing goes up or down in a straight line. So although I've drawn this in a straight line, keep in mind it could really follow any pattern like that. this is something we've got to be very careful of here, guys. Now, the other area I do want to talk about is if we see this crash that kind of took place in that window over there. Let me actually just zoom in over here. So, whoops. Yeah, so you see this fall from that point there down to there. One of my predictions earlier in the year, in May I believe it was that I thought the markets would actually be crashing in the middle of May. I thought they'd be going down like this. Instead, the markets went up, and then by about the middle of June, they had their crash. So what happened there? I think there was a lot of money printing going on, and the crash I thought would happen in May ended up getting delayed and happened in June. So this is the other thing to keep in mind. The markets are so heavily manipulated, the timing here could be off by a little bit, and that little bit could make all the difference in the world. So keep that in mind. The sketch is looking pretty messy at this stage, but I'm sure you guys kind of get the point. The other thing I want to talk about is gold. So let's switch over to that. Okay, so in our members live stream, we were talking about this wedge pattern that's happening, and as you can see, it's actually been extended out a little bit. So if we can draw that a little further out, if we extend that one out a little further as well, you'll see that these two lines converge on around about the 23rd of September, which is a time of that Rahu transit. So in other words, gold should be zigzagging up and down in this range until about that point. And at that stage, there's one or two possible scenarios. On the one hand, I think gold could be falling, so let me just correct that. And then it's going to be rising significantly after that point. That's scenario A. Scenario B is gold just goes straight up after that. Now, with Ketu moving into Scorpio on that exact same day, I think it's more likely that it's going to be falling and then going up. But keep in mind, by the end of this year, we should be looking at gold at all-time highs. If I were to take a guess, I'd say closer to about the 2200 mark. So approximately 10% up on where it is right now, although it could well go even higher, again, depending on the craziness out of the US. Now, let's switch over to Bitcoin, because this one's actually going to be really, really interesting. Okay, so I'll zoom out for those of you who weren't in the last members live stream. We've got this big uptrend over here. We've got this support over there. These two lines merge at the end of November, which is roughly the time that Jupiter transits into Capricorn. And I believe Bitcoin's going to be shooting up after that point. Between now and then, as I said to you guys, it's going to be zigzagging up and down, basically filling up the area within this triangle. There is a possibility that it's going to fall down to about the 9800 mark, or possibly even lower than that. But if you look more recently, it's just had this big shoot up lately. So I think the possibility of Bitcoin falling down to the 9800s, it's looking unlikely at this stage. In either case, if you hold Bitcoin, you want to be holding it because you'll be really happy, I believe, by the end of the year, especially as Jupiter enters into Capricorn. But if you're looking to get in terms of a risk-reward ratio, keep in mind this is all a good area, because this is the area that we're going to. That's my conservative estimate. I think there's a possibility it could even get pushed up to about that level. But I don't want to sort of make that prediction just now. We'll reevaluate things a little later in the year. Alright guys, so that's it for this video. There is a lot of manipulation about to take place in the market, I believe. It's either going to come through President Trump himself, it's going to come through either the Fed or through some other means. But that's the thing that's going to move the markets either extremely high or extremely low, one way or the other. Now, you guys just got to be alert during this time, hence the reason for making this video. Now, if you guys do want to become members, I've put a link to that in the comment section below. Otherwise, hit like and subscribe. Thanks a lot.